What if the career you never wanted became the one that defined your life? Today's guest started out planning to be a lawyer until a chance moment polishing cutlery in a five-star restaurant changed everything. From casual dining to global hotel leadership, from Chili's and Burger King to Hilton, across 26 countries, Marvin Alballi's journey is a masterclass in hospitality, leadership, and operational excellence. What a guest. In this episode, we're going to unpack why hospitality is a feeling, not a function, why high standards matter more than ever, and why getting the small things right is the most strategic move that you can make in your restaurant, in your hotel. This is unbelievable. This is a conversation every restaurant and hospitality leader needs to hear. So stay tuned to this episode. Here we go. Hey, Rockstars. If you're running a multi-location restaurant or a franchise, you already know the problem. You've got data everywhere, tools everywhere, and still way too many decisions landing on your plate. I like to keep on top of new technology. That's why I've been paying attention to Atlas Nova. Atlas Nova is like having an AI CMO and an AI COO built into one platform. It connects your POS and marketing data, tells you exactly what matters, and then actually helps execute campaigns, insights, next best actions, all without adding headcount. Less guessing, less busy work, better results. If you want your business to run smarter, not harder, check out Atlas Nova at www.atlasnova.ai/rockstars and get 20% off using the code ROCKSTARS20. That's Rockstars with a capital R 20. Marvin, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Thanks, Roger. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm a big fan of your show. Really happy to be talking to you today.
Well, you're a true hospitality professional and also a restaurant and performance leader. Let's talk about your backstory in your career. You've had many, many different positions. You've been with lots and lots of different other people that are leaders in hospitality. Tell us about your career. There are a lot of highlights there.
Absolutely. So it's an interesting career because I never wanted to work in the food service industry. When I graduated high school, Roger, I wanted to pursue a degree in law. I did really well at high school and a great degree, great marks, and did well. But then a friend of mine knew that I love songs and I love singing. So he said, listen, let's go to this restaurant, a five-star restaurant. There is a singer there. He's got lyrics. That's back in the 90s, Roger, when the internet was just in the beginning of the internet. So I said, yeah, so let's go to this restaurant. So we go there and then we got the lyrics. Then the restaurant manager came to us and he said, listen, I'm short-staffed. Could you please help us? And, just a couple of hours, just polish some cutlery and clear some dishes. And we said, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So while I was doing that, Roger, the restaurant had live music, ballroom dancing, wine decanting, all government officials and wealthy people. The forks and knives were gold-plated, I remember. So I looked through the window pane. If you remember the old doors in classic restaurants where they have like window panes, I looked through that and I say to myself, I really want to be part of this. This is exciting. And then I went home and I told my dad, I don't want to pursue law anymore. I want to work in the restaurant business. He was really upset, but I ended up where I ended up today, and I'm very grateful for the choice that I made. So right
Did he have
after
a chance to watch your career, Marvin, along the way? And I hear that from time to time. It's like parents have expectations of their kids, and sometimes they're really illustrious expectations. They have no idea that that child is really going to go far in their chosen pursuit. Did he get a chance to watch your career unfold?
he did when I joined Chili's. He didn't when I started working with large corporations in the corporate office with
Yeah.
big position. Unfortunately, he passed away before that period, but he did when I worked for Chili's. So anyway, I went to hotel
Yeah.
school,
Mhm.
graduated, and worked briefly in fine dining, and then got my first job with Chili's, Brinker International, and then quickly advanced my career to a training manager and won an award for the best training manager operator of the year for Brinker International. The same company were the franchisees of Fuddruckers. So I ended up supporting 22 stores. and I got my first corporate job as a franchise operations consultant. I was really young at the time. That's 23 years old. After that, I joined Applebee's and ran several stores for them. And then after that, I led 66 Burger King restaurants in Western Canada. Our corporate office was in Miami, and it was my only fast food experience, but I really loved it. After that, I spent 2 years with Burger King, and then I started my own business. I was doing consulting in franchising and consulted for Wingstop, the Great Harvest Bread Company, Famoso Pizzeria, and Boston Market. And then I was approached by a Canadian company, which is probably the oldest company in North America. It's a 95, 98 years old company called White Spot. And the company, for the past 10 years, an award for being one of the best managed in North America. And then a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he said, we have a job in Dubai in the hotel industry, which is completely different. But, we need you to come and work for the Intercontinental Hotels and run about 16 countries, the Middle East, India, and Africa, based in Dubai. So I took the decision with my family and we moved to Dubai. I spent 5 years there, achieved great results with the company, and never expected, for someone coming from casual dining to work in fine dining and to work with French chefs and Italian chefs and English chefs. But I really did really well. And then after that, I became an asset manager for the largest privately owned hotel real estate company in Dubai. And I was an asset manager for 16 hotels, Marriott and Hilton. And that led me to my job here as a vice president for Hilton Asia Pacific, leading 26 countries and territories at the moment.
So many interesting nuggets to unpack there. I heard operational excellence in training, and I want to talk all about that. But before we go there, you went to hotel school, but then you spent so much time in casual dining and then ultimately got back into the hotel world, and that's where you are now. So did you expect that career path, or it just sort of happened and you fell into it and you liked it, and then you went from one to the next? And Brinker needs no introduction. I'm just
No,
curious how that
I
happened.
wanted to stay in casual dining all my life,
You did?
actually. I
Oh,
loved
okay.
it. But then the opportunity
Hmm.
came out of nowhere with the hotel industry. And,
Yeah.
so I took that opportunity and I fell in love with the hotel industry internationally, Roger, is far more refined than North America. So in a hotel in Thailand or in Dubai or in Japan, you will have 3 to 4 restaurants. And some of them could be Michelin star, some could be 50 best, some just great fun, great food with a lot of the menu, well thought out, elaborate, long hours of mise en place. So there's craft. There is a lot of intricate and a lot of focus on quality versus, with all due respect, Burger King or Chili's or Applebee's, where it's about speed of service and everything. Most things come from Cisco, just to be clear. So that contrast made me fall in love with the hotel industry and the restaurant business from a chef standpoint.
Absolutely. I understand that. So let's talk about training now. Did you always have? Well, obviously, hospitality, right, is the foundation of the staff and team and the guest experience that we're presenting. So let's talk about first your definition of hospitality. What does that word mean to you? And then let's dive into your training philosophies.
Sure. So hospitality. So in the training that we do here and all the companies that I worked for, I always say hospitality is one thing and service is another. Hospitality is a feeling, service is a function. So I always insist in all of our training materials, all our pre-shift briefing, to say, okay, today we're going to talk about hospitality and service. So hospitality, how you make people feel, remembering their names, their favorite tables, their previous orders from a previous visit, entertaining the kids, being cheerful, being welcoming, accommodating, not arguing with the guests, but being on their side, as Danny Meyer would say.
Yes.
So
Yes. I
so
love it.
that's the philosophy. Yeah.
So again, so much there. It's the feeling. I love the fact that you said that it's a feeling, but it's treating every guest as if they're a regular guest. Even if they're a first-time visitor and they're just walking in the door for the first time, you're treating them like they're an old friend and that they are a regular person, treating everyone like they're the most important person in the room. And, Will Guidare is famous for that unreasonable hospitality thing where you do things that people just don't expect and it leaves such a lasting impression. And in the hotel world, especially with Hilton, you're leaving these impressions on guests every single day. And that's so important, not only for personal pride, but mostly for guest satisfaction and loyalty so that the repeat business and all those things just come together. So let's talk about the award you won and how did you win the award and what did it take to do that? And how did you train your teams to deliver this type of outstanding hospitality? There's a lot there. So let's dive into that pretty deep.
Right. So, I'm very passionate about upholding high standards. I would say be tough on standards, not on people. I haven't seen any
I
organization,
like that.
Roger, that was very successful yet had low standards. You need to have high standards. You need to demand the best out of your team, and you need to give them the knowledge and the know-how. In this industry, there is a huge gap in knowledge. It's shocking, actually. I'll share an example.
Please
Upselling
do.
upselling. So even if you go to universities, there is a common thought there that when a guest comes in, you need to increase the check average as much as you can. But my philosophy is different. My philosophy is the following. Upselling should be about improving the guest experience, not just making them pay a lot. I'll share an example. If at your restaurant, lobster is the most expensive item on the menu, but not the most tastiest item on the menu, not the most popular item on the menu. So I come into your restaurant, Roger. You suggest the lobster. I pay a lot of money and I never come back because it's just an okay item. But if fajita was your most popular dish for for the way you marinate the beef and chicken, cheaper, way cheaper than the lobster, and you suggest that to me, and I order the fajita and I love it, and I come back 4 times later, you have made more money that way. This philosophy that I'm talking about doesn't exist in hotel schools or in textbooks. I'll tell you something else. The industry teaches people the wrong way. They say when you design your menu, put your most profitable item where the guest eyes will be focused on the menu. So if it's a single page, as you know, it's going to be in the upper side of the menu, right?
Yes.
But I wouldn't put my most profitable item. I would put my most popular item because I want people to come back. I wanna put the dish that makes people love my restaurant because I win financially long term that way.
Lifetime value of a guest right there is what you're talking about. That makes perfect sense. I mean, you can get them for a little bit more money once, or you can give them a great experience and something they really enjoy that doesn't make as much money, but over time, 2, 3, 4 visits, or even this is my favorite place. Great philosophy there. Fantastic. What about training the team? Like, what are your expectations and how would you start training a brand new team today that just walked in the door, whether they had experience or they didn't have experience? Where do you begin?
Yeah, so I think it's something that I'm really passionate about. So there is a simple model in the restaurant business that I think many restaurants will benefit from, which is tell, show, do, review. So if I am gonna train you on how to cut a chicken, I will say today this is what I'm gonna train you on. I'll tell you, then I'll show you how to do it. Then I'll let you cut the chicken, and then we'll evaluate together and do it one more time. So I'll create a program where there's a lot of hands-on training, and I always create trainers. So in on my team, there'll be 2 to 3 food server trainers, one hostess trainer, 3 cook trainers, and these trainers are people whom I personally develop or put them in development program because not everyone can just train others. It's a skill to train others. By doing so, Roger, I'm creating leaders for my next opening with those trainers. And I'm creating people who will uphold the standards, police quality, let me put it that way, just to make sure that the restaurant is running like a Swiss watch. They become your virtual team that even when you're not there, they're making sure there are no shortcuts. That's the approach I would take. And of course, the training should be competitive and it should not be about fluff. If so, the one thing that I do a training assessment for a new company that I'm managing. So what the guests are saying, if the guests are saying your food is slow, then that's a training opportunity. If the guests are saying there are lots of inaccurate orders, then that's a training opportunities. Today, Roger, many training programs fail because they come from corporate office. I'll give you an example. And they tell people, oh, we have a training course on how to be friendly. They bring everybody in a room and they train them on friendliness. But Roger, over the last 3 months, there was not even one complaint about friendliness. So you wasted the time of your people. So I think training should be based on an assessment on what the operations needs. If the fry station orders are always late, then that's where we train to improve the fry station performance. So that would be my approach to training.
Do you find that there are much differences between hotel staff and casual restaurant staff? And if so, do you have a different approach for both in terms of getting everybody on the same page? And accountability was always huge for me. You know, I wanted to set clear expectations of my team. I wanted to hold them each accountable for what those expectations were. And if they did a stellar job with all of their responsibilities, then I would recognize their talent and I would give them additional responsibility. If they wanted it, I would incentivize them to do so. And many of those people rose up to be leaders in my restaurants. And that was just my approach. But again, let's go back. Do you see a difference? Because is it more professional on the hotel side versus the people that you've seen in casual fine dining, or it's a combination of both in both places?
Great question. It's more classic on the hotel side. It's more French,
Classic.
more classic. You know,
Yeah.
it's more formal and uptight. It's changing. It's changing in the lifestyle category of hotels, right? It's becoming more relaxed. You see more tattoos, different hairstyles. A
Sure.
food server with personality. In independent restaurants, because that's all they do. They don't do rooms or spa or swimming pool. They just focus on F&B, on restaurants. They perfect it because there are not many changes. A menu in an independent restaurant doesn't change as much as a menu at a hotel, because at a hotel you could be working breakfast today, tomorrow you're working in the banqueting department and serving a wedding. So things keep on changing, right? Versus if you are at a specialty restaurant, an Indian restaurant or Greek restaurant, whatever, or Mexican restaurant, for the most part we're serving the same menu over a longer period of time and doing the
Yes.
steps in the same area.
Mhm.
So I find restaurant, you tend to find employees from independent restaurants to be slightly with higher skill in certain areas, but in the hotel business, you find great bartenders, great food servers who can debone a fish or make for you a crêpe Suzette at the table because, that's what they do. It's so classic. It's so fine dining. So I don't think there is a clear distinction between the two.
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask you about your approach with accountability. You must have lots of people that report to you and then lots of people that report to those people. And the whole thing has to work seamlessly. Like you mentioned, the Swiss watch. What are those expectations and how does that get communicated down the ranks? You want everybody to deliver hospitality, everyone to put out quality regardless of their position. And that takes a framework, a template. Can you describe how that works in the organization? Smithfield Culinary is dedicated to providing restaurants with the right protein for every plate and every day part. They understand that for meat lovers, enjoying a favorite cut is more than a meal, it's a memorable experience. Discover Smithfield's new ready-to-eat select bacon, designed to save chefs time with no mess left behind and no crumbs left on the plate. Or try their new ground chorizo, packed with bold, smoky flavor that brings the heat to any dish. Look to Smithfield for one of the most extensive pork portfolios available, including bacon, ham, sausage, and more, all your favorites. When you partner with Smithfield, you serve the food you love, and your guests will love what you serve. I've tasted Smithfield products at numerous restaurant shows, and they're consistently excellent and always delicious. For orders or additional information, visit smithfieldculinary.com/Smithfield.
Totally. So on the restaurant level, we created something called a scorecard. There are about 10
I like it.
items that no matter what, they have to be green on that scorecard, and there are certain operational excellence steps that you can delegate as a restaurant. You cannot delegate as a restaurant manager, and you need to do them every single day. Let's start from the basics. I'm going to start from the basics. So
Please
these
do.
absolute fundamentals are table visits, kitchen line checks, every day doing some form of marketing by getting to know some guests, getting to know their names, going to the neighborhood, understanding which businesses came and left, what the opportunities are, pre-shift briefing. You cannot, in my book, you should never delegate that because that's leadership. So these are some of the daily fundamentals that should happen. Of course, a daily walkthrough, walking, inside and outside, making sure everything is great. Now, that's on the operational side. From a restaurant manager standpoint, I encourage all restaurant managers to operate like business owners. So you're accountable for the P&L. You know the P&L. You know how much we made or how much we lost. Check average is a key component of the health of the restaurant. Sales per square foot, sales per seat. You should know these numbers. I am not obsessed with food cost and labor cost, but they should be under control so we remain profitable. But I'm not obsessed by that. I would accept slightly higher food cost for the sake of a super satisfied guest because that plays really well to your advantage from a revenue standpoint. Other KPIs, your reputation. In our world is TripAdvisor, Google reviews, OpenTable, what guests are saying about you. If I'm evaluating a restaurant manager or a chef, that's where I look. In the hotel business, unlike independent or franchise restaurant, there isn't a survey at the end of the meal that Roger, you would go and give your feedback. So I don't have that data to know what the majority of the guests think. So I have to rely on OpenTable, Seven Rooms, Google, and TripAdvisor. So that's what I would look as well. So we mentioned the financials, guest satisfaction, table visits, and employee turnover, another one as well.
How often are menus changed in the different food and beverage outlets that you're in charge of? Do they change often? Are there weekly off the menu specials ever, or does the menu stay relatively the same based on guest favorites? Tell us about that.
I don't encourage a lot of change in the menu because consistency suffer. I what I
Yes.
encourage what I encourage rather every 3 months you look at your product mix and you see what's not selling and you make a decision to either remove it or improve it, for any particular dish. And if you're introducing new menu items, do not introduce more than 3 to 4 maximum because every time you introduce more than 4 or 5, if you do 6 or 7, that kitchen will be in a mess. And because you need to train, when you introduce new menu items, you need to train the food servers on how to sell them, how do they taste, how to describe them, how to punch them into the system. For heart of the house, it's even harder because if you ended up adding more fried items to a restaurant that has many fried products to begin with, you overloaded the fry station and you create a bottleneck. The best approach would be similar to what we did at Brinker in the 90s. So Brinker International tests stores throughout North America. So for the next 3 months, we'll be testing what will be on the menu the following quarter. And then we'll get guest feedback, team members' feedback, restaurant managers' feedback, and then we'll make a decision if these items will make it to the menu or not. This way, and I love that approach, and that's what we do now. Well, that's what we encourage our hotels to do here. This way, you don't waste your marketing money and all the preparation. And we do one more step, Roger. We go to about 30 guests and we give them a paper the size of a business card, and it has 4 questions on it. Please rate your meal, your dish from 1 to 5 in terms of presentation, flavor, portion size. And if we get a score of 4 or 5 out of 5, then this dish will make it to the menu. If we don't,
See that?
yeah,
Mhm.
if we don't, then that's it. The guests are saying it's not great. Don't put it on your menu. That's the safest, most, I would say, data-backed approach to launching new menu items. It's slower, but the chances of succeeding are very, very high with that approach.
In a way, that's a marketing focus group right there. But these are people that are in your in your restaurants, and they're not just random people off the street. These are people that are going to give you honest feedback. You obviously review these things yourself, and you see the consistency and the thread, and you're like, "This is a winner." That's a great approach. You have something called the 12-point program that I think is really on point. Can you explain the ins and outs of your 12-point program? I think that summarizes a lot of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so I created the program in 2017 for one of the hotel companies that I was working for. I can't go so much into the details, but I'll tell you in general what it is. So in the
Okay.
hotel business and all day dining, like the breakfast restaurant, most of the time is not a revenue center, it's a support center, supporting the rooms. So I said, why don't we make it a revenue center? Why don't we activate 4 nights a week? This is an international restaurant. You could do an Indian night, a Greek night, a Mexican night if you want. You could do on slow days, you could do a promo that brings people in. That was one part, activation. The other part, again, your reputation, what people are telling you on all these platforms. The third part was operational excellence. The fourth part was making sure our menus do not exceed 25 dishes. I'm a big supporter of smaller menus. Smaller menus are
As well.
easier to execute.
Yeah. Streamlined, exactly. Efficiency, all that sort of thing. As long as those are the items that are proven to be really guest popular, the quality is there. And no matter what you serve a guest, they're going to say that was great, right?
True. My observation from working in North America and the United States and Canada is the following, though. There's a lot of similarities. If you look at Chili's, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Outback Steakhouse, the Caesar salad is pretty much the same. It's so similar. And I disagree with that approach. I think if you have 25 menu items, Roger, each one of them should outperform the competition and should be unique in such a way, not a Caesar salad that tastes so different, but a lot better. Share an example. If you're making a Caesar salad and instead of serving it in a room temperature plate, serve it in a chilled plate. Make sure the
Yes.
croutons are garlic herb croutons. Cut the lettuce by hand, not by a knife, because it doesn't get brown. Dry the lettuce really well. Shock it in ice so it's crispy. Make sure your Caesar dressing is unique to you, not any other. So and then use shaved Parmesan. You can charge a bit more, but now you've taken the quality and the taste to another level with your 25 menu items. Now I'm thinking, oh, they have a much better Caesar salad than the others. But it's shocking how many hundreds of restaurants that I went to in North America. It's the same wings, the same burgers, the same Caesar salad. And I'm like, somebody should think a little bit differently about this and say, I want to position myself a little bit better than others. Now, Danny Meyer has done that with his 12-9 restaurant that are the fine dining restaurant. When you go to his restaurant, the food is different and he does really well. But he figured that out. I wanted to share that because I always think about it actually. Why aren't chains able to differentiate themselves and set themselves apart from the competition?
I love that philosophy. That's absolutely right. And know what the competition is doing, but play a better game. I love that. What do you think about guests and shifting tastes and has consumer behavior shifted over the years in your career? What are guests seeking today in your restaurant?
Great question, because it did. And so in the 90s, I started with casual dining, but then in 2000, 2001, Roger, I started seeing chef-inspired restaurants that had far better food than any chain. Locally sourced food, a young chef creating his own menu. So that increased and increased and increased. And now if you go around the world, the 50 best organizations are giving awards in different countries. The Michelin Guide expanded to many countries. And even you yourself, I'm pretty sure if you go to dine out, you're choosing go to a certain restaurant that's done by a chef versus a chain. And as you know, the past 10 years for casual dining chains haven't been easy. It's really hard. They lost a lot of business. So the trend that I saw over the past 10 years is the shift towards healthier food, not healthier food in terms of less calorie. We'll talk about that in a minute. Fresher
Please.
food, better flavors, locally sourced, that kind of food. That's what I saw.
There is quite a difference there. And always keeping ahead of things and being sort of staying relevant is really, really important also. Let's talk about that. It's like there are so many restaurants that had an illustrious history, decades in business, and then their customers aged out and they didn't keep up with trends and younger people coming through. And then all of a sudden, a 50-year-old restaurant goes out of business. I mean, we've seen that forever. How do you keep your food and beverage outlets relevant? So we talked about not changing the menus because they're tried and true, but you don't fix what isn't broken, but how do you stay relevant?
Yeah, great question. Before I answer that, let me touch on the healthy food
Oh, yes. Go back to
trends
that.
that a lot of
Mhm.
experts and a lot of
Yeah,
consultants
yeah.
talk about that. And I've been hearing this. So I was an avid reader of the nation's restaurant news.
I did too back in the day.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that was the benchmark for me. It's like I'd read it cover to cover. Sure. I learned so much from that. Keep going.
Absolutely. So, so since I started in the industry in 1994, and since then I hear, oh, healthy food. You got to have healthy food. Everybody wants healthier food, except for restaurants that operate in business areas where people want business lunch that's healthier and has low carbs and less amount of spices and quick. Other than that scenario, people when they go out, they want to have a steak, they want to have apple pie, they want to have tortilla with all kind of meat on it, guacamole on it, and sour cream. All this talk about healthier food, even seen there were very few chains who were able to excel with that. Very few. The majority of the successful restaurants around the world, the Zumas, Gramercy Tavern, David Chang Restaurant, Daniel Boulud Restaurant, they're not necessarily serving the healthiest food around. It's not bad for you, but it's not as well low calorie. And I'm always surprised with all this consultants talk about healthy food because then people go and invest money and open a restaurant with healthier food, but then they fail, right? Back to your question about how do you stay relevant? Absolutely. You got to go to conventions. You got to see what trends are coming, who's innovating. And today, Instagram can tell you a lot, and Facebook can tell you a lot of what's going on in the market. But you got to go to conventions. You can't be in your own four walls, and you're gonna see what is the millennials are looking for, what your target market or your where you operate. Are the demographics changing? Are
Yes.
there younger people there? So I think keeping a pulse on what the guest wants and the consumer preferences will keep this business alive. And you have to be all the time, nonstop, and it's tiring. Super, super focused on the fundamental. Table visits, listening to your guest, hot food. I know it sounds super basic. And if someone is listening to the podcast, he will say, I'd expect the vice president of Hilton to talk about more strategic things. But after 30 years in the business, the most strategic things are the small stuff in our business. Small stuff are the big stuff in our business. And when people get that right, they never fail.
I always talk about this being the business of a thousand details, and it really is. But I think you're focused on the fundamentals, and I think that will always serve restaurants well. You can't skimp on those fundamentals because it's got so much to do with what a guest's expectation is. That's wonderful. What about you wrote a book and it's restaurant excellence? Tell us all about your book and what can we learn from it?
Sure. So I brought a copy to show you because I
I'm
can
glad you did.
demonstrate better. So
Yes.
this book. So when I was writing the book, I looked and I searched a lot. I did a lot of research to find a book that covers the entire process from kitchen management to service, design, excellence, recipe, training. I couldn't find one single book that covered the entire process. I can find a book on culinary. I can find a book on marketing, but not one book that had the entire steps. So I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to write this book. So this book, as you can see here on the pyramid, and that's my philosophy in the business, it starts with kitchen management and then service and hospitality and how to wow your guest, then training and inspiring your team, how to develop them, then marketing, ongoing marketing, and then you need a restaurant manager who's got ownership, who would leave the restaurant once a week and go to the neighborhood and talk to the schools and universities and bring them to your restaurant. So manage his cost, not cut his cost, just manage the cost. When you have great food, great service and hospitality, highly trained team members and inspired, and ongoing marketing with the restaurant manager who takes ownership and profitability become a natural outcome. You don't even have to worry about it. This is the philosophy that I've been working with for the past 30 years, and it served me well wherever I was able to implement it. This is the book.
How long did it take you to write? And it must have been sort of a stroll down memory lane and all the things that came flooding back saying, this is what I learned so long ago and it's so important. And it went from step to step to step, right? We started with the kitchen and then we moved up and wow, it was sort of like a reenactment of your career in book form and everything that was important that like I said, served you well and made you successful in your career will make others successful. That's tremendous. How long did it take you to write?
2.5 years. I
Hmm.
consulted with about 34 professionals. So when I wrote the design chapter, I had 3 designers, well-respected designers, review it. When I did the kitchen management chapter, I had 8 chefs review it. So I took that approach and I made sure
Yes.
it's a how-to book.
Uh-huh.
It's not a story. So
Yes.
if you're struggling with consistency, this book will help you. If you're struggling with service and hospitality, this book will help you. If you're struggling with revenue, there are 65 pages on LSM, local store marketing, that will help you. Low cost yet high impact. So the way I designed it, even the finance chapter and the operational excellence chapter, it's all designed where it's easy to do, doesn't cost you a lot of money to implement, yet it has a great impact on the business.
Wonderful. And it's on Amazon, and it's like the number one selling restaurant book, I understand. Like it's doing really well.
On on Amazon AE, which is Dubai or the United Arab Emirates or international,
Yes. Hmm.
it made it 28 times to number one on that platform. It is the highest rated book in the world today
That's
on
amazing.
restaurant management. Yeah, and yes, I'm grateful. I'm blessed that I never thought it will achieve these results.
Fantastic. Well, you've had an amazing career, and I've so enjoyed talking to you. You've shared so many nuggets of wisdom and operational excellence on training and on leadership and hospitality and all the things that are, again, the fundamentals of running great restaurants and hotels. I can't wait to share this episode. Thank you so much, Marvin, for being with us.
Thank you, Roger. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much to our audience for tuning in. Thanks to the sponsors this week. We can't wait to see you in the next episode. Stay well, stay tuned. Thanks, Marvin.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Hey, it's Roger here. Listen, running a restaurant is tough, but making it wildly profitable doesn't have to be. If you're tired of struggling with cash flow, low margins, staff that don't sell, or just feeling overwhelmed, you've got to check out my Restaurant Profit Fast Track. It's inside the Restaurant Academy, and I walk you through exactly how to master your numbers, train a rockstar team, and scale with real profit centers that work. Join now at restaurantrockstars.com/join academy, and unlimited staff accounts are included. Let's start making your restaurant super profitable.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.